Hello, fifth grade. Today's math lesson is lesson 4.9, and it is over multiplying with zeros. So we have been multiplying with decimals for a long time, but today you're going to see lots of zeros in there, and I'm going to teach you a new little trick to kind of help you out with going a little bit faster when there are some extra zeros in our problem. So let's start with number 1. I have 0.48 times 10. Remember, if there are any zeros in front, I can completely ignore those. So I'm going to go ahead and shade this one in because it's in front. I'm going to ignore it and pretend like it's not there. Now, when we have those zeros behind, I'm going to show you a new little trick that will help you go a little bit faster. So if I have a 0 at the back, instead of multiplying with it, because I'm just going to get 0 anyway, I can X it out. And if I make an X, I have to make an O. Now, I'm just going to multiply with the 1 like I normally would. So 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 4 is 4. And all I have to do is figure out where my decimal would go. So remember, I'm going to count up in my problem. I had 1, 2 behind the decimal. There was no decimal down here. So just 2. 1, 2. So my decimal would need to go right here. 4.80. Hey, let's try another one like that. Number 2. I see some zeros up front, so I'm going to cross those out and ignore those. Now I have a 0 in the back, so I can use my X's and O's trick. So X it out, put an O, and then I multiply like normal. I have 6 times 6, which is 36. Count where my decimal needs to go. There's only one number back here, so it would need to go right here. Notice this bottom number did not have a decimal, so just the top one is the one that I was counting behind. All right, number 3, there's no zeros up front, but there is a 0 in the back, so I can still use that trick. I'm going to X it out, and when I make an X, I have to make an O, and then I'm going to multiply like normal for the rest of the time. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3, and then I count up where my decimal should go. There's only one number back there, so it should go right there. We got the same answer again, 36.0. All right, a few more like that just to make sure we got the hang of it. Number 4. I see a 0 up front, so I'm going to scratch that one out. We can ignore the ones in the front. And now I see 2 at the back, so I'm going to XX. And how many O's would I need to put down? 2. Remember, if I make 2 X's, 2 O's. Then I'm doing 3 times 9, which is 27. And see where my decimal needs to go. There's only one number back there behind that decimal, so right there, 270.0. Let's try another one, number 5. There are no zeros up front, but there are 2 back here, so XX. How many O's would I need to put down? 2. And then I multiply like normal. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. Need to figure out where my decimal goes. There's only one number back there. I'm going to have to squeeze it in. 360.0. And one last one like this, number 6. I see 2 O's in the back, so XX, OO. Now I'm multiplying with the 1. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 1 is 1. Count up where my decimal needs to go. There's just one number back there again, so 170.0. So that little trick just helps us move a little bit quicker with our multiplication since we know 0 times anything is always going to be 0. We can just do the X's and the O's with the zeros and go on from there. That only works with multiplying. If we're adding and subtracting decimals, we just add and subtract like we always normally do. One more thing to look at in today's lesson is powers of 10 and exponents. Remember, we talked about powers of 10 and those little tiny numbers called exponents at the very beginning of Unit 4, but it's been a while, and today we're going to use them with decimals. So let's look at number 7. It says 4.8 times 10 to the power of 1. Anytime I'm multiplying by a power of 10, I'm really only going to pay attention to the exponent. So here my exponent is a 1. That exponent tells me how many spots I need to move my decimal backwards. I always, always, always move the decimal backwards. So if my exponent is a 1, I need to move this decimal 1 spot backwards. So if I put it right there, it would be a 48.0. You can either put the 0.0, or if the decimal is going to be at the very back, you can just leave it as a 48. Okay, let's try another one. Number 8 here. 6.23 times 10 to the power of 3. So I'm going to pay attention to that exponent. That tells me how many spots backwards to move my decimal. So I need to move my decimal 3 spots back. So 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh, I have a blank spot right here. What do you think I should fill in that blank spot with? A 0. So when I do that, my answer would be 6230. And then if I wanted to put the decimal, remember it would just be at the back, 0.0. All right, let's try another one. Number 9, 0.49 times 10 to the power of 2. So remember, looking at my exponent, how many spots back do I need to move my decimal? 2 spots. So 1, 2. That would make it 49 and 0.0. All right, let's try another one with number 10. 1.3 times 10 to the power of 2. So paying attention to that exponent. How many spots back do I need to move my decimal? 2. So 1, 2. Uh-oh, I have another blank space there. What do I need to fill in my blank space with? A 0. So that gives me 130.0 if I want to put the 0.0. Okay, so my exponent tells me how many spots to move it back. If I have extra little blanks, I fill them in with zeros. 11 and 12 are a little bit different because they're kind of backwards. So let's look at 11. They're showing me that they started with 0.51 and their answer was 5.1. They want me to figure out what power of 10 they had to multiply by. So we know it's always going to be a big 10 because that's what we're working on, powers of 10. But we need to figure out what our little exponent would be. So if I look from here to here, how many spots backwards would they have to move the decimal to get it to look like this? Well, if they moved it 1 spot, yeah, that's where it needs to be. So my exponent would be a 1. They only had to move it 1 spot. And remember, an exponent is a little small number up there in the corner. So make sure it looks like an exponent, not 101. We don't want it to look like a whole number. All right, let's try again one more time on number 12. So we're doing the same thing. I know it has to be a big 10 because we're working on powers of 10. And then I have to see what my exponent would be. So look from here to here. How many spots would they have had to move the decimal? If this is making it tricky for you, remember this is like a 0.0. If the decimal's not there, we always add it to the back. So if I move it 1 spot, that's not enough. But if I move it 2 spots, that would be perfect. So my exponent would have to be a 2 because they moved it 2 spots back. We did a couple more examples together on your assignment page. So as you work on your assignment, you'll see a few more that were done together in class, so that'll be a few more examples for you. If you feel like you need to see this part again, you can go ahead and rewind the video or rewatch it for however long you need until you get it. Good luck. Do your very best. Bye.